Hello, welcome to the show. Now, the property market can seem a wee bit like the good old British weather, tricky to predict and somewhat changeable.
Yes, but one way to reduce the stress of it all is to do your preparation. And a place you might consider heading down to find some very interesting property options is your local property auction. Well, auction lots come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, from tiny flats to plots of land.
From, I kid you not, former public toilets to former banks.
Yes, you can get them all, and we've seen them all on this show. So what's up for offer on today's Homes Under the Hammer? Let's have a look.
In Cumbria, Martell is forgetting she has a job to do.
With the hustle and bustle and historic buildings, I can't help but feel like I am on holiday here.
In Luton, Tommy's a big fish in a little house.
God, this must be the smallest house I've ever been in, I think. It's a small reception room.
And the suspense is killing us as Martell visits Carlisle.
But what do you get for a guide price of £50,000? You get a...
All these properties have been sold at auction, and we'll find out who bought them and what they paid for them when they went under the hammer.
3 and gone.
This is the charming market town of Kendal in Cumbria, the birthplace of the famous Kendal mint cake, a source of sustenance to hill walkers around the world. But will the property Martell is here to see be in mint condition?
Today's property is actually in Kendal town centre. It's just there, with the hustle and bustle and bunting and pubs and historic buildings. I can't help but feel like I am on holiday here. It's wonderful, and yet you have the best of both worlds, because down this cobbled alleyway, you have this courtyard that feels otherworldly. Today's property is a 2-bed flat on the 2nd floor up here. It came with a guide price of £75,000 plus and is in need of some cosmetic upgrading. Let's go look.
This little courtyard is like something out of a fairy tale, but don't fall under its spell before you've asked the important questions, like who maintains it, and is there a cost associated with that? The same goes for the communal entranceway. Are there any maintenance fees attached to it?
Inside, I like the fact that you can look down the hallway and see the various rooms coming off, and actually it's lovely to see how this is built into the roof space. So the A-frames I can see are supporting the roof. First up, not quite a bathroom, a shower room. You've got a shower in it just now, quite small. Could do with an upgrade. Old storage heaters make the place feel quite functional. The carpet's quite functional, but practical too, and would hide dirt. But you could think about changing various things to give it a bit more character. First bedroom is quite small. Not only that, it feels all the smaller because you're losing about 1/3 off the headspace because it's built into the roof. Second bedroom, longer, bigger. Again, well, the common theme here is because it's built into the roof, it feels quite small. The living area, it's a pretty good space. And I do love these beams, the purlins, which are original. And that really gives this place a lot of character. It's quite unusual. More storage heaters, and then the kitchen, well, I like in terms of layout the fact that it's half separated from the living area, but still there's a bit of a flow. But get a new kitchen in there. This is really, really dated. You know, just give it an upgrade. This place has character. It's got potential. You just need to make the most of it.
It certainly is charming, but don't let the heart rule the head here. Storage heaters on the wall and an electric cooker lead me to believe there's no gas supplying the property. It's not a deal breaker, but the current heating system is likely to be expensive to run, so an upgrade is required, whether it's installing gas or getting more environmentally and pocket-friendly electric heaters. Something else I've noticed is that there's signs of woodworm in these beautiful beams. Now, to me, it looks historic and is to be expected in a property of this age. but it's still worth checking the legal pack to see if it's been treated.
There's a bit of a theme here. All these walls are partition walls. If you did want to take them down, it wouldn't be as big a job as it would be if it was a load-bearing wall. Now, effectively, you're in the roof space here. This flat takes up the entire top floor. Would you not want to see that's the roof space? Just now you come in and the overwhelming feeling is it's a bit cramped. I'd be opening things up. I'd be proud of this. I want to show everyone it's a kind of loft-style apartment. You could give it such a wow factor.
But did a local estate agent also see the potential in this quirky little flat that went to auction with a guide price of $75,000?
The property's actually not in too bad condition, very neutral, very light with the Velux windows. However, I would say it could do with a redesign to make more use of the space.
Could this little flat bring in a big profit once the work is complete?
On completion, I feel the property will be worth in the region of £125,000.
And what if you were to hold on to it long term and rent it out?
On completion, I feel this property will be worth between £575 and £600 per calendar month.
This is a really interesting property. Yes, it's in need of a bit of a cosmetic upgrade, but it's also got so much going for it. Those gorgeous wooden beams, the location right next to Kendal Town Centre, and it could be so much more if you gave it some thought. Also, it could be rented out, it could be your home, it could be a great holiday let. Let's find out who saw the potential when it went under the hammer.
This lot was part of a remote auction with bids taking place online.
So, thank you.
Coming out on top at the online auction with a bid of $74,000, $1,000 under the guide price was Coty, who bought the flat with his mum, who's also his business partner. Martel caught up with him to discuss his new acquisition.
Coty, pleased to meet you.
Same to you.
I love this property. I think it's got a real charm to it. I'm guessing you thought so too, otherwise you wouldn't have bought it.
Correct, yeah. But also, just the price that it went for in auction, we couldn't pass it.
So what's this for? Is it for you to live in? Is it to rent out? What's the purpose?
It's just more of a rental, short-term holiday let sort of property, I think.
Born and bred in Kendal, but now living in Lancaster, Coty is certainly familiar with the local area. And if you hadn't noticed, he's also a builder by trade, coming straight from a job to chat to Martel.
I've dropped the lads off, unloaded the van and come here, yeah. I'm no diva, I am who I am, I'm a grafter. I've worked for myself nearly 20 years now. Since I was maybe 15, I started with the properties with my mother and my granddad. So yeah, before I even left school, I knew what I was going into. At the time, I think it was they only had one or two and they were just sort of starting out. So I went and done my apprenticeship to learn bricklaying, and I was a time-served plasterer and roofer, so I went and set up on my own.
I'm guessing you can do joinery?
There's not much I can't do now, to be honest.
Coty sounds like a jack and master of all trades. And though his granddad sadly passed away, Coty still works with his mum, and they have an impressive 26 rental properties around the country.
The main job for this one will be the electrics, because the EPC's very low and we need to get that looked at, really.
Yeah, so the Energy Performance Certificate is currently at an F here, isn't it?
Correct.
Which is actually too low to rent it out legally.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to improve that?
Looking at some of the old heating systems that are in here, the old immersion heaters cost a fortune to run. So that's start off a new heating system, more eco-friendly system. Maybe an update water heater. Some of the old windows are not double glazed, so we'll look at maybe trying to get some double glazed units in there. Update all the electrics a bit more eco-friendly.
In addition to an overhaul of the heating system, Coty is also planning some much-needed layout changes, starting with the larger of the two bedrooms.
At the moment, you open the door and you're pretty much headbutting the beam as you walk in. So to me, that's not an ideal bedroom because you have to duck under it to go to bed. So the main wall in the middle of the house, we plan to take that down and try and open it up into a kitchen living room area. And This end kitchen at the moment, we want to change the layout so you get one whole bedroom.
That's a great idea, because you'll be able to see the A-frame above you.
Correct, yeah.
And then are you keeping the smaller bedroom?
Yeah, the small one's staying. We're not doing anything with that one.
And finally, the bathroom or shower room, is that staying where it is?
Staying where it is, but obviously getting ripped out with modern bathroom suite in it.
How long do you want this to take?
Ideally 6 weeks maximum. We've got another property on at the moment, so if I'm flipping between, possibly stretch to 8 weeks, or if I just hit it in one hit, between 4 and 6 weeks.
What's your budget here?
£10,000. Possibly a little bit more, but I'm hoping not to. But until we start ripping out, pulling carpets up and see the extent underneath everything, we don't really know.
Tell me, what keeps you busy when you're not constantly renovating properties?
Probably my kids. All a bit of a handful, especially the youngest one. He's only 4.
Yeah.
So he's a wild one. So when I'm not working, I'll try and spend as much time as I can with them.
So age 4, let's give them name and age checks. Age 4 is your son.
Yeah, JC.
JC, and who else?
There's Jamie, who's 14, and then Jordan, who's 19.
Okay, so is that 2 boys in a car?
Yes, 2 boys and 1 girl.
So you've really got a lot of juggling going on. I wish you the very best of luck. I think it's going to be amazing.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you. Coty has been renovating properties since he was 15 years old. So he really does know all the obstacles that can arise from turning a place like this around. He has a clear vision of what to do to make this flat stunning. Join us later in the show to see how he gets on with his Kendall bolt hole.
We're in Luton, Bedfordshire, one of the most populous towns without city status in the UK. Luton is known for its rich culture and industry, which famously includes car manufacturing. The town is just over 30 miles north of central London, so is an excellent commuter base.
If it's good transport links you're after, then this residential street is a very good spot. It's only half a mile from the railway station, and if you have to travel further afield, it's just a mere 3 miles to the airport. But I'm not going any further than this because I'm here today to look at this 2-bedroom mid-terrace with a guide price of £100,000. It looks tiny from the outside. Don't know whether I'll fit in it. Let's have a look. Sure, this must be the smallest house I've ever been in, I think. It's a small reception room. It's got radiators, so it must have a heating system, central heating system. It's got a fireplace there, chimney breast. Well, it is what it is, I suppose. This staircase. Now, this wouldn't be allowed today because this house is so narrow and they've had to get this staircase squeezed in. Yeah, this needs to be repositioned and it needs a new staircase, something that's going to be getting you up the stairs a bit easier than this would. Now, the second reception room has been made into a kitchen. If this were mine, I'd have to take this out and then put a new staircase in along the wall down to a platform. So then you'd have much greater distance to fit the staircase in. So, and then the rest, you'd open it right up and it'd be like a kitchen, diner, reception all in one. You wouldn't feel so claustrophobic, you know? Yeah, there's not much more you can sell, really. Just everything's got to be replaced. Right, well, this was where the old kitchen was, the scullery, as they used to call it. This has to be stripped right back to the brickwork, though, because it's in poor shape, the way the plaster finishes. Have to change. And now, this was the bathroom. There's loads of work to do, because that has to be stripped right back to the brickwork.
And there is another option for a change of layout. The utility room could easily be made part of the kitchen by knocking down the wall between them and making it all one. The bathroom, however, is in an awful state as it's currently saturated with damp and needs to be reconfigured. Whatever you do here, there is a lot of work to be done.
Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, similar size. not bad-sized bedrooms, but be a bit better when all this junk goes, all this old furniture. It needs to be stripped back to the plaster and redecorated. But it seems to be in fairly decent nick. The roof's not leaking. No signs of it. But can you get another bathroom up here? There is a cupboard over the stairs, and that could either be a shower and hand basin or a WC and hand basin. So there's your choices.
That's up to you, it's the choice you choose.
A choice the future buyer will have to make. The inside of this property is far from big. I wonder if there's more space outside.
More rubbish. So get rid of all this old greenery, that all needs to come out, strip it right back, put a new fence up, and then with some nice paving and some nice planting, you could actually have a really nice courtyard garden out here. And of course, then you've got this tunnel, which is very, very handy because then all the rubbish can come out through that without having to go through the house. And all the stuff that needs to come in can come through there. Yeah, so this is a bit like a shining light on this project.
There's great potential here for the right buyer. To find out more, we've invited along a local estate agent to get his opinion on the property and what would be the best direction to take it in.
From outside, it has a potential, but we have to do from scratch. Apart from the main foundation or the wall, you have to do everything in this property.
So once the renovation is complete, how much does he think it could rent for?
Upon the completion, I think if we could rent out this property, it will be £900 to £950 per calendar month.
And what could it achieve on the sales market?
I think we could sell this property £210,000 to £220,000.
Well, there's nothing that worries me too much about the work that needs doing on this Victorian mid-terraced house. It's all pretty straightforward, a lot of cosmetic stuff as well. But because of its location, I think this is going to be a great investment. Let's see who thought that when it went under the hammer.
This lot was part of a remote auction with bids taking place online, so we can't show you footage of the successful bidder on the day.
Hang on, online.
And the successful bid of £170,000 was made by property developers Abu and Sharmin from Bedfordshire. They have a bit of experience, with this being their 5th property, and they would love to keep building up their portfolio.
First of all, Abu and Sharmin, congratulations on your purchase of this property.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, was this your first time at auction?
No, is that auction is third time?
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you read the legal pack
Yeah.
and view the property?
I didn't get the chance before buying the property, actually.
We know the market. We decided it might be a good price to buy.
It was considerably above the guide price, the selling price, because the guide price was $100,000.
Yeah.
And you paid
170,000.
70,000.
170,000. Were you happy to pay that?
Yes, because we know these areas. At the moment, it's a 2-bedroom. I know it's a very tiny property and very small. There is garden. It's also
Right. So it's a good investment property. I think so because of the location.
Location, yeah. That's the most important thing we liked about the property, like
Yeah.
the location.
Well, and the fact the condition structurally it's fairly sound. But there are things that you will need to address. And although that's a small garden, that would look like a nice courtyard garden if it was laid out nicely,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. We
Get rid of
have
all the
that
rubbish.
plan also, like to, like clean it, tidy it up, then it might look, little better, yeah.
Yeah. So what else have you got lined up for the house to do?
first of all the replastering the whole house, then move the kitchen, and the whole new kitchen, new bathroom.
Yeah, that'll look good. That'll give it a bit of a lift.
Yeah.
The couple plan to break up the back wall and put in new patio doors leading to the garden. This should let in more natural light and create a better flow. They're planning to keep the bathroom where it is, but they'll install a brand new suite.
How long have you been doing this property developing now?
It's
Not very long.
what, actually, we started around 3-4 years ago. Now we are concentrated on this business, and we are trying to get ourselves in this business as a full-timer.
Right, now, very important question I need to ask. Who's in charge? Who's the boss?
Both of us.
That sounds like a bit of a compromise.
No, both of us, yeah.
When it comes to the future of this property, Abu and Charmin would prefer to sell it on, but they are willing to be flexible. They plan to keep an eye on the local property market, and if they can't get the figure they want, they will rent it out instead. First of all, though, they need to get the work done, and they plan to do everything in just 4 weeks.
Will you be doing the work yourselves at all,
we
any
don't
of it?
really. No, we don't really.
Yeah, no.
Just managing?
Manage it,
yeah.
yeah.
So, you think 4 weeks to do all the work?
All the works, yeah.
How much of a budget have you allowed for it?
12 to 14,000.
It's quite tight, but yeah.
Yeah, because the labor is 6,500.
And the rest is
of
materials.
the materials.
So from our previous experience, we think like rest
will
of
be
the money
enough.
will be enough for the material.
Well, it seems to me that this house is in safe hands. And,
Let's see.
and I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. I'm really looking forward to it. So all that's left for me to do now is to wish you luck
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
and great success with it. And I hope you get everything you ask for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, while I wouldn't recommend to Abu and Charmin that they buy any more properties at auction without first seeing them, they did get lucky on this one, I've got to say, because it's a pretty straightforward project to do. And I think, will they be able to turn this ugly duckling into a beautiful swan and make a profit? You can find out later in the show.
Coming up, Martell is keeping us guessing in Carlisle.
This lot comes with 3 charming little gifts. The first of which.
And Abu and Charmin dare to dream in Luton.
We don't know it will become true or not, but we
But this is my dream is dream. This is our dream.
Back to the Lake District town of Kendal now, and the 2-bed flat situated in this picturesque courtyard with a guide price of $75,000. Sitting in the roof space of an old building, the flat posed challenges and opportunities for a potential developer.
I do love these beams, the purlins, which are original. First bedroom is quite small. Not only that, it feels all the smaller because you're losing about 1/3 of the headspace because it's built into the roof.
It was bought by Coty for $74,000 as part of a letting business he owns with his mum. And the plan was to make the most of its prime location and turn it into a holiday home. But before he could let the property out, Coty had a major obstacle to overcome.
The energy performance certificate is currently at an F here, isn't it?
Correct,
Which is
yeah.
actually too low to rent it out legally.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to improve that?
A new heating system, more eco-friendly system, update water heater. Some of the old windows are not double glazed, so we'll look at maybe trying to get some double glazed units in there.
And he was also planning a major reshaping of the internal space.
The main wall in the middle of the house, we plan to take that down and try and open it up into a kitchen, living room area. And this end kitchen at the moment, we want to change the layout so you get one whole bedroom.
Setting himself a timescale of 6 to 8 weeks and armed with a budget of 10 grand, Coty set to work hoping to create a spacious and attractive First glance, it looks like vinyl, but it's actually epoxy resin.
The floor took the shape of the old beams, so we ripped the old floor up and rejoiced on top of the old joist to level it all up. And with the floor that we've put down, it's obviously an epoxy floor, so it had to be to the millimetre.
A bold move indeed. Something I'm very keen on is the ensuite bathroom, separated from the bedroom by this custom glass screen.
It was scary doing it because I had to design the opening and then order the glass, and literally a couple of mil out, and I would have wasted my money because you can't recut it. So, yeah, it was scary, but in the end it worked well.
Another modern twist is the new fold-out balcony window.
To be honest, I've never worked with one of them before, and I've always wanted to. And we came across a nice little area to put it in, so we thought, why not? And now you can actually open it and see like Kendal Castle.
One of the drawbacks of the flat was its poor EPC rating. How did Coty address that problem?
I spoke to the EPC inspector, and he said basically the big key is if there's insulation in the roof space. So when we took this wall and a few walls down, I inspected the loft space and there is actually insulation in there. I've got photo evidence for him to show him that. But also the 2 windows we've replaced are now double glazed, so the whole building is double glazed.
Coty exceeded his original 10 grand budget, spending around 15,000. And his hopes for a timescale of 6 to 8 weeks also slipped, with the project being completed in 4 months. This was mainly due to a shortage of building materials, but there was also an issue with access to the flat.
The biggest thing I didn't contemplate was getting the materials up 4 flights of stairs. Anything over 2.4 metres, we struggled, and we had to get it through the window rather than carrying it up the stairs. Same again with plasterboards. Any plasterboards, we had to cut everything to shape first and then bring them up the stairs. But that definitely took a lot more time than we anticipated. Usually I pull up to a job, it's right outside it, half an hour, the van's unloaded, whereas here it can take nearly half a day just to unload 7 plasterboards. It was a nightmare.
Now that the refurb is finished, Coty has had a change of heart about its intended use.
We have looked into doing holiday lets, but the freeholders are not happy with us doing short-term lets, so it'll be a long-term let.
This is a modern take on a traditional flat, but will it tick all the boxes for the estate agent who saw the property earlier?
Now that I'm back at the property, I think it's an absolute transformation. They've really made a big difference with the layout of the property and the finishes to a really high standard. The standout for the property is definitely the bathroom from the bedroom. That makes a big difference and really gives it a high-end feel.
Will those positive comments come with a positive valuation? Firstly, what if it was to go on the local resale market?
In the current market, I believe the resale value of this flat would be £160,000.
10,000 more than what I was thinking, so yeah, I'm happy with that.
A sale at 160,000 would give Coty and his mum an impressive pre-tax profit of 71,000. But this will be a long-term let, so how much is it worth on the local rental market?
In the current rental market, I believe this property would be worth in the region of £600 per calendar month and £650 per calendar month.
Those rental figures would mean a return on investment of around 8.5%.
It's perfect. It's what we needed to be.
For now, it's back to the building trade for Coty, but for all his many years of experience, he's still picked up a handy tip from this project.
Yeah, don't buy a flat on the 3rd floor.
I'm right in the heart of the Cumbrian countryside, around a mile or so west of the village of Heathersgill, and quite a bit away from the hustle and bustle of towns and transport links and shops. So this might suit somebody who is seeking a quieter pace of life. And yet you've still got so much close by. For instance, the historic city of Carlisle, the heritage site of Hadrian's Wall, and the beauty of the Lake District. This place has a lot going for it.
It seems like the perfect rural idyll. It just needs a property to match.
Today's property sounds really interesting and pretty quirky. It's a wee piece of local history that's almost 200 years old. And lots like this just don't come up very often. But it also sounds like whoever takes it on is going to need a big imagination and even bigger pockets. But what do you get for a guide price of £50,000? You get a chapel. Yes, an actual chapel. I cannot wait to look inside. Sounds like I might need my hard hat. Let's go in. Well, it's fair to say it's been a long time since this has actually been used as a chapel. It's completely bare. The stonework outside is lovely and holds a lot more charm than inside, which, well, I'm standing on earth. I can see daylight coming through the roof. There are no windows to speak of. I'd love to see some charm restored with some stained glass windows there. You need to do everything here. So yes, that budget has to be big. And this lot comes with 3 charming little gifts. The first of which, whoever buys here will also own the title deeds, almost 200 years old, that were handwritten in ink by a scribe on vellum, a kind of parchment made with calf skin. I know, poor wee calves. But still, what a lovely piece of local history to own.
Not only does it reflect the age of the building, but the importance of it for the local community.
The second little gift that this lot comes with is planning permission to convert this chapel into a residential dwelling. But that's where your hard work will start. So you have to think about services, getting in electricity, gas, maybe even water. And what will you do with the place? There's certainly enough room here, enough space to have 2 levels. That would be expensive itself, all the joists you would need. I would love to see a mezzanine level, so an extra floor, but then also lots of ceiling height. There are so many possibilities.
And that planning is for a 2-bed cottage. But with an old building, planning permission isn't the only hurdle you need to get over.
No matter how many grand plans you have for this chapel, they won't amount to much unless you have the backing of the local authority every step of the way. Now, this isn't a conservation area and this isn't a listed building, but it is categorised as a building of historical interest. And that means any changes you do make must be sympathetic to the original character of the building.
So a fair amount to take on board and a lot of work lies ahead. And with the building being far from weatherproof, staying and working here doesn't really seem like an option. Or is it?
I mentioned there are 3 charming little gifts that come with this lot, and the third is no less charming than the first 2. It's this caravan, which I'm assured is watertight, which is more than can be said for the chapel itself. The fantastic thing here is that you could stay here while renovating what could be your dream home.
Caravan, caravan, in your green and pleasant land.
Well, that's great. A warm and cosy place to rest your head after a hard day working on the trusses, the pointing, the flooring and well, the list goes on and on. But if the caravan can be moved somewhere else when necessary, where does a local estate agency the chapel ending up?
I think the best course of action once the works are complete is to explore the holiday letting market. I think the local market for resales here is a relatively small and limited one. So unless the owner was looking to release the capital, short or long-term rental may be the best course of action.
Holiday lets, that's a great idea. But let's take a look at the potential sales figures first for the chapel that was guided at £50,000 at auction.
On completion of the work, should the owners decide to sell the property, it would of course be dependent on spec, finish and number of bedrooms, but a sale price in excess of £175,000 could certainly be achievable.
There will be an awful lot of work and expense to get this place into a habitable state. So though the resale value sounds okay, I suspect the real money is in its rental potential.
Once completed, the rental could be anything between £575 and £600 per calendar month, depending on the number of bedrooms. Should it be used as a holiday let, a nightly rate of something between £70 and £100 could certainly be achievable.
A holiday let. What a terrific idea. I'd love to stay here once it's all done up because I just love this lot. It's a piece of history, a blank canvas that comes with a ready-made set of plans, and it's in this idyllic part of the country. I just hope whoever took it on had the budget and the vision to make it a gem in the Cumbrian countryside. Let's find out who was up for the challenge when it went to auction.
This lot was part of a remote auction with bids taking place online.
Yes, we are. That's yours.
The successful bidder for £55,000 was Paul, and Martel met him back at the property to find out why he wanted this elegant but rather dilapidated old chapel.
Paul, pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You own a chapel. It's not every day you hear that, is it?
It's not. No, that's true. And it's a nice building.
Oh, it's so charming, especially from outside. Inside, pretty bare. I want to know everything. So tell me, was this your first auction property?
No, I know I've bought at auction before, although it's not actually mine. So I did the bidding, but it's for my daughter and her husband, who live in Brazil. So they've bought this, and so I'm going to do the work for them.
What's your daughter called?
Rosie.
Are they coming back here to live? Is this going to be their dream home?
No, the plan is to hopefully use it as a holiday let and just to generate income. So this is the first one, but there's going to be more added hopefully in the future.
Paul has been a builder for over 30 years, so he's well placed to help daughter Rosie and son-in-law Luigi fulfil their property plans. And having tackled properties in a similar state, I think they and the building are in safe hands.
I will care, I will care, I will care for you. 'Cause together there's nothing we can't do.
What can you do here? What will you want to do yourself?
Well, I'm actually a joiner by trade, so I will probably do most of that. And I'll probably do the roof myself. All of this main building, to bring it up to specification for heat insulation, actually, needs to have a timber frame put all around the inside, and then that's insulated and boarded over that. So obviously I can do all of that. So most of the structural work I will probably do.
Okay.
I think Luigi's brothers, who are in London, they've been press ganged to come up for a few weeks to help me at various points. So,
are they handy?
Well, I'm going to find that out.
So what's the plan here?
If it was something that I was going to live in, it would be really nice to keep this open plan with a mezzanine floor, but you just lose so much space. You lose a bedroom really by doing that. And so if you're going to want a holiday let, you need another bedroom. The original plans that it came with showed 2 bedrooms upstairs and a staircase in this corner. But when I looked at it before we actually bought it, I realised that with a little bit of moving around, we could gain another bedroom upstairs. So I've asked the architects to move the staircase from this corner and put the staircase between those 2 arch windows, which will be stained glass. So that makes it a whole feature. And then that means this corner space where the staircase was going up can be another bedroom. The only thing that I've asked to change that's visually different from the outside, the original plans had a knock-through to the back, and this space was going to be the living space and the kitchen in the extension. But I just think, even though there's 2 windows here, not really a lot of light in here. Whereas if the rear elevation, instead of putting 2 little windows in the back wall of the extension, if I put a bifold door in or something similar to that, and that's a really nice view, because actually at the front, it's a road, at the back, you're just looking out over farmers' fields. So it really made sense to me to make that the extension of the living space, move the kitchen diner into here. So that's one of the changes I'm going to make.
Outside, the stonework still looks beautiful, but
Yes.
is there much to do there?
There's a reasonable amount of pointing. So that's a slow process, but I've volunteered my wife, Tara, to... I'm going to give her a little training course, and when she comes up with me, she might be able to do a little bit of pointing.
But being based in Manchester, when Tara does come up to do the pointing and Paul the work on the rest of the chapel, they'll stay in the bonus caravan with the plan to stay here for 2 weeks at a time. Thanks to Luigi and Rosie, Paul will have a budget of £120,000 at his disposal.
And what's your timescale here, Paul?
From start to finish, if you didn't stop, you could probably finish it in 3 months, I would think. We're not in a panic, actually, to accomplish that. So if we complete by this time next year, we'll be happy. If it's a few months earlier than that, then great.
It feels like you're going to make this place pretty special.
Yeah, well, I think it deserves it. It's a shame to see such a building and slowly start to fall apart, isn't it? Slowly start to degrade. When you finish something like that and you stand back from it, you know, it gives you a lot of satisfaction.
Paul, a pleasure to meet you, and I can't wait to see the results here. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
If anyone can convert this derelict chapel into a dream holiday let, it's Paul, who's been a builder for 30 years. However, there are 2 new bosses in town, his daughter Rosie and her husband Luigi. How will they all get on? One thing's for sure, I can't wait to see what happens here. You can find out later in the show.
Well, we've still got to see how 2 property projects have turned out, so don't go anywhere.
Will our remaining renovators be quids in?
Yeah, or will they wish they hadn't bid at the auction? Let's find out.
We're back to Luton, where Tommy visited a 2-bed terrace that was a bit of a squeeze.
It looks tiny from the outside. Don't know whether I'll fit in it. Let's have a look. God, this must be the smallest house I've ever been in, I think.
And its features didn't stop getting squashed and stretched throughout.
Because this house is so narrow, and they've had to get this staircase squeezed in, and it needs a new staircase, something that's going to be getting you up the stairs a bit easier than this would.
But it wasn't all constricted, as Tommy found some room to breathe out the back.
With some nice paving and some nice planting, you could actually have a really nice courtyard garden out here. Yeah, so this is a bit like a shining light on this project.
The couple who were drawn towards the light were Abu and Sharmin, who snapped the property up for $170,000. And they weren't afraid to answer some hard questions.
Right, now, very important question I need to ask. Who's in charge? Who's the boss?
Both of us.
That sounds like a bit of a compromise.
No, both of us, yeah.
As experienced developers, they had big plans for this little property, and they'd given themselves a timescale of 4 weeks. Now we're back 8 weeks later to see how they got on. Well, the front of the house is looking much more secure and weather-tight, with a new PVC door and double-glazed windows. The little living room to the front of the house isn't looking so little anymore, as the chimney breast has been removed and the whole space has been given a fresh coat of paint. The kitchen is now a second reception room with sleek spotlighting and wooden floors. And the fridge has found a new home in the cupboard under the stairs, a clever way of creating a bit more space. The back window is now the door to the back garden. That means the old utility room has become the new kitchen. The relocation of the back door has been a great way of creating more surface space for the kitchen worktops. It's a 10 out of 10 from me for maximising space with this project. And the bathroom is now actually a bathroom. The stairs have had a makeover with the addition of a brand new carpet and a fresh lick of paint. The bedrooms upstairs, like the rest of the house, have had a complete overhaul, with the rooms being cleared out, replastered and repainted. The new flooring and brand new double glazing throughout really finishes it off nicely. And that rubbish-filled back garden is now a clean and empty courtyard you can relax in. So let's hear from the couple how they went about the renovation.
First of all, the chimney out, then moved the kitchen, and it's extra sitting room, and all the new bathroom, obviously, and
all the floors,
carpet,
windows,
double glazing.
All the lights, everything.
Who else did they have on site?
One of the builder, he works for me before also. He's a good guy. He finished most of the works he has done. And I helped him. I bought all the materials with her, sometimes with Gohar. But he has done all the works.
I came and supervised, like, is everything going okay or not? That was the main part. And obviously I used to go with him to buy all the materials. And rest of the things he looked after, honestly.
Did any work crop up that they hadn't originally planned on?
First, we didn't have the plan to remove the chimney, but then we decided, because the room was looking a bit tiny, so we thought like it's gonna be more spacious, so we just
Little bit better,
it was like more budget for us.
Speaking of budget, their initial pot was 12 to 14,000. What did it come in at once the work was all finished?
Just over 16,000. Probably 16,300, 400, like this. I didn't count,
And did they manage to stick within their 4-week timescale?
It really took nearly 6 weeks now.
It's the main reason was the double glazed window delivery was late, and also the weather. Because of that, it took a little bit more to finish the project.
So what's the plan for the newly renovated house? Will they be renting or selling it on?
We are going to call a couple of estate agents. Let's see what's the price they're saying. If we think, if we get a good price, then we'll sell it. Otherwise, we'll rent it out.
For the time being,
Well, what do you know? We've gone and invited one along for them. We've asked the estate agent from our first visit back to see what he thinks of the changes.
The first time I entered, it's hard to stand inside the property, but now the owner tried to renovate, and those people involved, they did a tremendous job. I think a standard of finish is on optimum level, and nobody could do anything extra. Whatever they did, that's the tremendous job, and being an estate agent, I really appreciate.
What sales and rental figures would he place on the property now?
In my opinion, if we will market this property for sale, we could easily achieve somewhere £215,000 to £220,000. If it will go for rent, it's the most demanded property in Luton, 2-bedroom. So £950 to £1,000 per calendar month we can achieve.
As the couple have spent a total of £186,000 on the project, a sales figure of up to £220,000 would mean a pre-tax sales profit of £34,000.
That's really good.
It's
Not
really
bad,
good,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
What a modest pair. Let's see what they think of the rental figures, which are up to £1,000 per calendar month, which would mean a rental yield of 6.4%.
Actually, I didn't expect that much. We are expecting probably 850 to 900. That's really
it is really good, yeah. The rental value is really good.
So does that mean renting is the winner?
We will think about it, and maybe we might, for the time being, we just might renting the property.
Yeah, because it's not far from my place where we live. It's easy to maintain.
So what's the big plan for Abu and Charmin?
Yeah, actually, this is our dream. Within next 5 to 6 years, we want to be the owner of at least 10 properties. And
We don't know it will become true or not, but
But this is our dream is dream. It's our dream.
Back now to the Cumbrian countryside and an old chapel that, with its lovely brickwork, looked great on the outside, but the same couldn't be said of the inside.
Well, it's fair to say it's been a long time since this has actually been used as a chapel. It's completely bare. I'm standing on earth. I can see daylight coming through the roof. There are no windows to speak of. You need to do everything here.
Yes, it was in a bit of a state, but the good news was it came with planning permission for a 2-bed dwelling. But what a task this was going to be to get this building habitable. In fact, the only weatherproof thing here was a bonus caravan that came with the lot, which at least meant you did have some accommodation to retreat to after what would undoubtedly be a very long and hard day working on the chapel. And the man who was prepared to give caravan living a go was Manchester-based builder Paul. Mind you, Manchester was relatively nearby compared to where the new owners of the derelict chapel lived.
It's not actually mine. So I did the bidding, but it's for my daughter and her husband who live in Brazil. So they've bought this, and so I'm going to do the work for them.
Are they coming back here to live? Is this going to be their dream home?
No, the plan is to hopefully use it as a holiday let.
So it was Paul's daughter Rosie and son-in-law Luigi who had paid £55,000 for the chapel. That's on We're Back. OK, so it's clearly not finished, but it's so much bigger, with a double-storey extension at the back. I wasn't expecting that. And inside, there's definitely some progress, with new floors in place, and the chapel has been taken to a new level. And this upper floor now has room for 3 bedrooms, thanks to the new extension, and by raising the roof by 600mm to give the necessary...
Coming through the main door, and then on the right we're going to have a downstairs toilet, bathroom, and on the left will be a utility room, and through into the main living space, which is all going to be open plan. And on the far wall will be the kitchen. Upstairs, we've now got a family bathroom and 3 bedrooms, 2 ensuite, and a box room.
Sounds like it's going to be quite a place when it's finished, but that finish has to be done in a particular way.
This building, although it's not listed, it's a building of historical interest. So what I've tried to do is reuse as much of the original materials as possible. On the gable, we've been able to reuse some of the stone that we took out for the opening into the extension. And we've kept the original slate that we took off the building, and there'll be enough of that to reuse to go back on the front, so that from the road side, it will look like it's always been here, hopefully.
Well, since 1833, Paul. But who was the one who was predominantly here to do the work?
I've had a chap doing the stonework, but apart from that, pretty much it's been myself and another young lad who comes and labours. And Luigi's 2 brothers did come up. They spent a week here when we took the old roof off and put the new steel ridge beam in, so they came up and helped for that as well. And actually they're due to come back again when we start to put the slate back on the new roof.
And to get to this stage, it's taken 7 months. And Paul thinks it will be a further 7 to 8 months before it's completed. He's been coming up for extended periods of time, and that has meant living in the caravan, or should I say caravans, as they've acquired another one from a neighbour. What's that been like?
Once you get used to it, it's fine. There's hot running waters, a shower, so you can adjust. And because we're only here for short periods, a week or a week and a half, then, you can cope with it.
The holiday letting value could be in the region of £150 per night.
That's probably about what we were estimating, actually. We were thinking on a weekly let of maybe around about 1,000. Hard work at times, but every time I come, I think I could just retire here. But I think for the time being, we'll definitely try it as a holiday let, and we'll see how that goes for a couple of years.
Hopefully you've enjoyed today's stories, and perhaps we've given you some inspiration to get involved in property development yourself.
Or perhaps we've scared you off for good. Either way, we'll have more stories for you next time here on Homes Under the Hammer. And remember, you can also watch any time on BBC iPlayer. Just push the red button.